Hello friendos, it's Bella from the Bookish Badger, and today I'm going to be reviewing I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Now, I actually had to pick this book up for a trivia competition I'm doing that involves reading 5 books. If it weren't for this competition, it is more than likely I would never have picked this book up. I had seen it on Goodreads before, I thought the cover was pretty, so I looked at the description, and it didn't interest me, so I didn't put it on my to-read list. But I found out that I had to read it for the competition, so I said, okay, well, I guess we'll find out, but not optimistic. I was wrong. This book is a work of art, but I get ahead of myself. Let me tell you first what it's about. The book is about twins named Noah and Jude. Part of the book is told from Noah's perspective, from the ages of 13 to 14. The other parts of the book are told by Jude at the age of 16. Basically, by the time you get to Jude's first part, you realize that something had happened between them, something major between Noah and Jude, because it opens up with Noah's perspective, and they're the best set of brother and sister that you've ever met. But by the time it gets to Jude's perspective, they're no longer speaking, and the whole book is practically a puzzle of fitting little bits and pieces together of Noah's perspective and Jude's perspective to figure out what exactly happened between these two. So now that you know a little bit more about the plot, let me tell you about the writing. The writing is It's gorgeous. I don't know how else to describe it. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's poetic, it's musical. It's appropriate that art is such a heavy theme in this book. Jude and Noah are both interested in art, their mother is interested in art, Jude goes to be mentored by a sculptor, she goes to an art school, all these things. So basically what I'm getting at is that art is very prevalent in the book, but it's appropriate because the writing in this book, you can liken it to as though the author of this book was an artist and they were painting, but instead of a gorgeous painting coming out, she got words on a page. That is how this book is. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. What more can I tell you? It's lovely. There is a mild use of language, which I didn't feel to be all that necessary, but I assume that the author wanted to make it more real, I suppose. I felt like it could have even done without as much language as she used, and she didn't use that much. One of the cool things about the writing is that when you're reading Noah's perspectives, you actually get that he's actually the one who's more into art. And during his whole parts, he has this thing where he paints in his head. So every page, couple pages or so, it'll be in parentheses and it'll say portrait, self-portrait, and it'll have the title of a painting. And I think that is so inventive and so imaginative. And then when you go to Jude's sections of the books, she has in little asides these superstitions she believes in due to her grandmother's beliefs, which I thought was also very fun. Now onto the characters. I have friends who think that most of the characters are pretty awful because there are multiple parts in the books where one character will turn around and do something awful to another, and you'll just say, how could you do that to them? But then that character will turn around and do something awful to the one that just did something awful to them, and you'll just say, why? This is just a big mess. But I think it really adds to the emotion of the book. This is a very, very emotional book. It will bring out all of the feels. You have been warned. That's not to say it's a you'll be crying every 3 seconds type of book, but I did cry at the end and it was emotional all the way through. When I was first reading it, I have read it twice at this point, I just love it so much, and 4th competition, admittedly, but I was excited to read it again. So it evens out. But the first time I read this, I read it a lot at night, and let me just tell you, I could not fall asleep after putting it down after an hour or two on more than one occasion, because my mind was just racing with, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? How could that just have happened? Should I read more? Should I go to bed? I should probably go to bed, but I'm just sitting here thinking about it. Maybe I should read more, and on and on and on like that, because it was so good and I needed more. This book is interesting. You want to just eat it all at once. You just want to go at it in one sitting because you just want to know what happens next, and you cannot live without knowing what happens next. Oh my goodness. But on the other hand, you kind of think, oh, I want to prolong it just a little more because I don't want it to end, you know? It's that type of book. Another thing I really like about the writing slash the characters is the invisible strings that are almost connecting them. On the cover of the edition that I have, the paperback edition, it says, "We were all heading for each other on a collision course, no matter what. Maybe some people are just meant to be in the same story." And I think that fits it really well. This fits the connection between the characters very well. This fits the writing style very well. Another thing I would like to mention about the writing style is at the beginning of this competition, before I read any of the books, I read 2-3 pages from each of the books just to see which one I thought I would like most. And this one was in 4th place, and after reading all of them, it is in 1st because I can't say enough good things about it. Goodness gracious. There is one character in particular I have to mention. His name is Oscar, and I just have to say, I did not really understand people saying, oh, he's my book boyfriend, before I read this book. I thought, yeah, you can like a character for another character, but I've never wanted to be with a fictional character. I have changed my mind. I have changed my mind on this topic. If a friend were to ask me if I had any contemporary book recommendations, I would have no hesitation saying, here you go. Please read this now. Here's how much I like this book. I had to highlight my copy because of the aforementioned trivia competition, and even though I have a perfectly readable copy, I wouldn't mind spending more money just to have a fresh, pristine, perfect one, because you guys, this book. So to conclude, I adored this book. I plan on picking up Jandy Nelson's other works, and I highly encourage you to pick up this book too. If you enjoyed this video, do not hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Do not hesitate to subscribe for more content coming soon, and I will see you in the next video. Bookish Badger signing off.